Alright, welcome to part 2 of the fire simulation. In part 2 we're going to be setting up the material as well as two textures for our domain. Okay, if you guys are in my class, you want to save your project as fire.blend inside your Blender folders. Okay, so to get started you want to right click, make sure you have the cube or the domain selected, and we're going to go up here to the materials tab. And we're going to click on New, and we're going to name this new material Fire, and we're going to check volume. And the reason we're checking volume is because smoke uses volumetrics to work. Basically, Blender smoke simulation works by wrapping what are called voxels around the existing particles that are coming out. Think of a voxel as sort of like a 3D pixel. Okay, it's a volume element, and it's like a 3D pixel, basically. It's the easiest way I can think of to describe it. Alright, so you have volume selected. We're going to go through now and set up the properties on our material. So the first thing you want to do is under density, and when we talk about density, it's the base density of the material. Okay, other densities from textures are added upon, on top of this. Okay. So you want to set this to 0, and then under density scale, our density scale is the global multiplier. Okay, so it'll increase or decrease the apparent density. So we're going to set our density to 5. So you can go ahead and click on it, type in 5. Next thing we'll do is go to the shadowing, and under where it says scattering, scattering is how much light is scattered out of the volume or absorbed by the light. So we're going to set that to 0.5. And then we'll go to emission. And emission is basically what controls the light being generated by the volume. So we want to set our emission to 5. And then the last thing we'll do is go here to integration. And under step size, it's at 0.2. Okay, so our step size, it's the distance between the volume samples, depth samples. So we're going to change it, instead of 0.2, let's put it at 0.02, and we'll make it smaller. Okay, so that'll be it for the materials. Now we're going to go to the little checkerboard, the texture, and we're going to click New, and we're going to add in a new texture. And this first one, we're going to name it density. Okay, and under type here we're going to select voxel data. Like I said before, we're using volume. We're putting in voxels to create our smoke and our fire. Okay, and then let's go to under the voxel data tab, the domain object we know is our cube, so we'll go ahead and select that for our domain object. And then under influence, we're going to uncheck emission color, and the only thing that should be select is density. Okay. And then what you're going to do is you want to select another texture here. So under where it says density, click on this little checker and then click New. And our last texture is going to be called emit here. And once again, this type will be voxel data as well. We're going to go click on voxel data. The domain object will be the domain, which is our cube. And then under influence, we want to check emission color as well as emission. Okay, so emission, it controls the light being generated by the volume. An example of this is like incandescent light for a fire. And then once you have that, we're going to set up the colors, and the colors are going to be what our fire teaches us. Let me pause the video here and then I'll get back. Okay, so what we're doing here is we're setting up the colors tab for our fire. This is really important how you do this, because this is how well the fire will come out in your simulation. So you're going to check ramp, Okay, and we are going to set up two colors. So we're going to click add twice, and that'll add in two colors basically, and we have to go and set it up. So it says 1 here. We're going to click on this little color selection, and the first one we're going to make it red. If you just want to drag it straight down, and the ramp here works off of the alpha, so we want to change the alpha all the way to 1, and as we drag it up you can see that the color here changes to a thicker red. Then we'll go to our next color stop, click here again, and this time we're going to make it more of like an orange gold color. And once again, the ramp works off of the alpha, so we want to change the alpha to 1. And then basically what we're going to do is set up the position here. Okay, the farther to the left, the more fire you're going to get. The farther to the right, the more smoke you're going to get. Okay, so on our first one here, let's adjust the slider, and we can type it in, and I've found that this one works. So for red, if you put it at 1.71, and then if you go to the second one here, the gold color, and move it to 0.336, this will come out nice. One more thing that we need to do is go to influence here, and under blend you want to switch it to multiply. Okay, and now what we can do once we have that set up here is we can go to a certain frame, and if you haven't, you want to hit Alt A and let it play, and what you want to do is press F12, and when you do that you'll see that it'll render out. It'll say pre-caching volume. Once it gets to 100, you'll see that it'll start rendering here, and then you can see that you have fire. So it should come out just like that. If it doesn't come out, you want to go back to colors. Obviously, if you don't like the way it looks, you can go ahead and hit escape, and you can adjust these and then hit F12 and render it again and basically get it where you want it. Okay, so that'll be it for part 2, setting up the materials as well as the 2 textures. If you're in my class, you'll go ahead and go to part 3, and I will explain to you how we are going to render it and save it as a video.